Hello and welcome back to the couch. We saved you a seat. My name is Luke, and today we're going to be talking about Invincible, episode 4 of season 3, called You Were My Hero. Now, I'm just going to begin by talking about some of the things I liked and some of the things I didn't like, but I'm going to begin with my first two things. Number one, we got a time travel episode. We got a really cool time travel episode. Okay. There's a lot of references to like Dragon Ball Z and Bill and Ted and Terminator and Back to the Future, maybe, but it's really, really cool. And the other thing is, at the very end of the episode, there is an unaliving that is super sweet and deserving and awesome and really cool. But more on that later. Here's where we'll start. The episode begins with like a slice of life situation where we're seeing our young heroes go shopping and then to stop shopping, but they don't know how to cook anything. It's a very millennial Gen Z thing. It's kind of funny. I think they're kind of referencing sort of Gen Z culture. It's pretty good. And after they stop the bus from exploding or saving the people, they go back to their hideout where Mark is there trying to figure out with the android superhero where the camera came from the previous episode. Who did this come from? What's happening? What Mark unintentionally decides is it was Cecil. So Mark goes to the Pentagon and destroys some of the Pentagon. And so Cecil engages the sound thing to kind of dampen his spirits. And essentially, after the conversation, Cecil says, "Buddy, that's not us. But this was scary." And Mark's like, "Well, if it's not you, then who?" And they're like, "We don't know." So Cecil's having a bad day. Mark's not having a great day, but Mark's day gets better. He then goes on a date. He meets Eve in this really cool cafe scene in Paris, and I love that like superheroes can do that in this universe. I'm glad when they do that kind of thing. It makes me feel hopeful about my future. And so anyway, this is really cool. Like I said, spice of life situation. A lot of the beginning is just that, and then those two dudes from the first episode who stole the Declaration of Independence show up on their little time travel machine to try to convince Mark to come back to the future with them. Time travel episode. Kind of awesome. They don't convince him, but they kind of kidnap him anyways to take him to the future through a portal. And when they get there, there's a really funny and clever scene where Mark has changed out of his street clothes and his date clothes into his uniform, and they joke about having the uniform on you all the time, the two dudes. And and he's like, "What am I gonna do with my clothes?" And then the portal opens, another version of Mark leans out, picks up the clothes, and then disappears. And Mark's like, "What just happened?" And the guys are like, when it comes to time travel, we just don't ask too many questions. Love that. Like they're not trying to set a standard for time travel rules. They're just doing their own thing. Love that. Love that. So what he comes to find out is that there's this overlord of a dystopian future of Earth that they need Mark's help stopping. And the easiest way to step in front of this overlord is to get captured. So even though Mark could take out all of the guards and all of the situation, the evil overlord, they intentionally get captured, right? So Mark ends up in front of the evil overlord. He turns around, and it's this like imperial looking immortal, like the character, the immortal. And the immortal is senile, and he's got issues, and he's seen too much, and he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. And he convinces Mark to get into a fight with him because he wants Mark to save them. So something's happened in the past between our current Mark and this immortal that's caused some really horrific decisions to be made in order to get Invincible to come back. That's what they've discussed. So Immortal fights Invincible, and finally, after Immortal begs Invincible to unalive him, Invincible finally does it in kind of a gruesome way, knowing full well that Immortal, if he's reconnected, can come back. Um, but he does it. And then all the androids shut down and they say, "Okay, the power to the people is to the people, blah, blah, blah." And they're like, "We did it." And it's like, yeah, that was a little too easy. This episode's kind of short, right? It's only been about 25 minutes. And so they portal, they're getting ready to travel back to the past and take Invincible back to the past. And then he's like, "Oh, right, where's my clothes?" And they're like, "Oh, right. And then they do the portal trick where he goes back to the past version of himself, grabs the clothes and yanks, and it's really just a full on Bill and Ted situation, trunk situation. Love time travel. I'm glad they subvert the rules by just saying, things happen. I love that. But yeah, this section of this episode, it created it was a cool little side quest. I think we'd call it a side quest, and they created questions without burdening us with an entire 45 or 50 minutes of an episode, which I love, because then we get to see the rest of the date between Mark and Adam Eve. And I love their chemistry. I love their focus. I love their intention. Um, we're meant to fall in love with Eve, that she's just this perfect being, who's capable of just about anything. And I think that's really cool. And they've done a great job doing that, making that happen. So they have this really glorious date, and they say "I love you" to each other. And I'm gonna go tell you, they subverted my expectations, because I figured something bad was gonna happen right there, but it didn't. It didn't, which I thought was cool. So then they end up having a like an at-home session, we'll call it, the two of them, and the perspective changes back to Nolan and Alan in the prison, in the Viltrumite prison. They give you a little bit of catch up, and letting you know that Alan is to a point now where he's essentially unalivable, maybe, or pretty close. He's as strong as a Viltrumite, I guess. Let's say that's what they're trying to tell you. Um, and two Viltrumites have come to this prison thing to try to stop, or to try to unalive Nolan. And so now Alan has decided to break out. And so he starts a prison break, and he can destroy anything, and he lets out all the prisoners. And then he stumbles upon Battle Beast from season one, the guy who fought the really grumpy Battle Beast thing that fought Invincible and just, put Invincible to the curb. And it was tough. It's a tough scene. I remember that. Season one was tough. And so Battle Beast is excited about fighting a Viltrumite, obviously. And so essentially they get to Nolan, and they break Nolan out. Nolan decides to break himself out a little bit, which is kind of cool. And then Alan takes the fight out into space. So it's two Viltrumites versus Battle Beast, Alan, and Nolan, right? So it's 3v2. It's a pretty cool little fight scene in space. Um, Alan and Nolan take on one of them, and they unalive this dude in one of the coolest ways with a double punch to the, and it just, and that was pretty cool. And then they decide, they are like, where's Battle Beast and the other Viltrumite? And they're looking around for him, and it's a vacuum of space. Like, they could be actually anywhere, unironically and ironically anywhere, because that's how space works, I guess. So then we get this really cool nugget of news that we didn't know before, and that's that there's only about 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left in the universe, and that's their weakness. So that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting. They're kind of like the Saiyans, I guess, from Dragon Ball Z, or they're like, I don't know, the Kryptonians, right? You have this uh, race of people. There's only a few of them left, and I mean, it's been done. We love it. It's been done. It's been done. So, um, excited to see where Battle Beast goes. I've kind of read in the comics to see what kind of happens with Battle Beast. I hope that's like the final episode of this, because it's very cool. And Nolan and Alan, where are they going to go? What are they going to do? Are they going to go back to Earth? Are they going to go back to this place where Alan kind of works and lives? We'll see. We'll see. But this is a cool episode. It was kind of split in half. What I love about this season of Invincible is each episode has different points of info. Uh, I'm gonna say this wrong. Points of emphasis. Each beat takes place at a different place, and it's done differently. It's funny and dramatic. And what I love about this episode is they could have strung out this time travel story to 60 minutes. I mean, it could have been a full episode. They didn't do that. I like that. They did not do that. They let us learn that there's more questions to be asked, and then they close the loop. What happens to Earth? Well, you learn that Invincible is Invincible's participation with Earth is essential to Earth's survival. That's what you learn. But you don't know what happens. And they do that in 25 minutes, which is really cool. Also, you learn that living forever is not the greatest thing ever because you Immortal shows you the sins of living forever. Like you get to see it. Thought that was really cool. Excited for next week though. Yeah. Anyway, look. Really really cool. If you like this video, feel free to like, share, subscribe. I'm gonna go see Captain America today, actually here in like 30-45 minutes. So there will be a review on the channel here in 2 or 3 hours. It's gonna be pretty cool. I hope. I live in DC, so I do the On Your Left run quite a bit. And then we've got a couple other trailer reactions I think we're going to do, plus solo leveling this weekend. So we'll look forward to that. And then if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for your time. Um, just remember, welcome to the couch. There's always a seat, and there's a seat for everybody. All right. Take care and have a great day.